if you have a passion, if you have a purpose and you want to impart something onto the world, it's okay to do it. There's so many platforms, there's so many spaces to share. Be the change you want to see. And don't shrink yourself to fit into spaces. Don't dim your light because somebody said, hey, that's too bright. Be authentic to yourself, show up as who you want to see in the world. And that is it.
I love that. I love that. What you shared resonated with me so well because as you were saying that, I thought that's how this podcast was birthed, right? I realized that this is a topic and a space that I'm really passionate about. And I think I shared with you before we started recording, it's a space that I've ignored for some years. And I'm not sure why, but I am uncovering that. I'm realizing that. Welcome to the Leadership That Shines podcast, the weekly leadership training show that's built around three values that show up in everything we do: impact, influence, and growth. Whether you're leading a team, building a business, or learning to lead yourself first, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Natalie Davis. Let's get into it. Welcome back to another episode of the Leadership That Shines podcast. I am so excited to have you back with me today. And I am really looking forward to diving into a discussion that we have with our guest, Jodi Wright. Jodi, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you, Natalie. I am doing awesome. It's been a wonderful week so far. So it's the start of a great day. We're doing
Exactly.
we're doing stuff.
And we're doing it. And even if it wasn't, we're still doing it.
We're still doing it. Still doing it.
I love it. Well, here's the thing. You reached out to me and you said, I have a story that I need to share. I have a message that I want to deliver. And I said, absolutely. And we have a deeper, more personal connection. But before we dive into that piece of it, Jodi, you come to us as a U.S. Navy veteran, someone that is exposed to and has practiced leadership, seen leadership in many respects, both in prior life and currently with the work that you're doing. And you look at leadership from a standpoint of service and community and accountability and being able to give back and have an impact, which is what we're all about here at the Leadership That Shines podcast. Impact, influence, and growth are the three things that we really try to focus on. They're also the core values of the company. And so you're bringing that to us today with a wealth of experience and knowledge. And so I just want to start off by giving you an opportunity to tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you for the lovely introduction.
Ah,
Like you said, my name is Jodi Wright, and I am a U.S. veteran. I'm a mom. I currently work in the capacity of a case manager on the probationary services. I do a little bit of public health safety as well with driving improvement. I'm also a new author. I have a book coming out in next month, so I'm really excited about that. I will be releasing that with the Bloodline 743 as a publishing company, a Black-owned publishing company. So I'm really excited about that. But outside of that, I am a person who I believe with leadership that shines, we intertwine very well because I'm the person that is for the community. I love the fact
yeah.
that we are in a space now that when we talk about leadership and when we experience leadership, you can lead from anywhere.
Mhm.
And that's the hill I will die on. It
Yes.
For me, it's just, something that you can step into if you're passionate about it, if you want to do it and you want to be of service.
Yeah, absolutely. I have the belief and thought that you don't have to have the title to be a leader, right? That's the title is secondary to actually being the leader.
Definitely. I do not believe strongly in post-nominal is the thing that makes you the leader. If you can have a megaphone and stand outside and captivate an audience with your passion, or just having a regular conversation,
Yes.
you can change someone's life just by being, authentic and, blooming where you're planted.
Yes, yes. I love that. I love that. Jodi, let's let's start with the book because it's here at the forefront. I think you
Mhm,
have revisions that are coming soon, launch and publication in the next month. So, in the next
mhm.
couple of weeks, I am on that same path. So, I understand where you
Oh.
are. I have the cover of the book going to well, it went to the designer this week. And so, I'm waiting on some workups for book cover. Talk to us about your book. What can we expect? What does it cover? And what was that journey like in writing the book?
Okay, so this is a very it's a very transitional work of art.
Yes.
I started this book, and it was supposed to be published last year. I pulled back because I felt I wasn't in that space to present the work in my best self. So it's been there. It's just been in the archives. But what Belle Haven is about, that's the name of the book, and I go by a pseudonym on my book because I separate my work of art from my professional life.
Yes.
It's about awakening, spirituality, healing, and real life issues that we sometimes don't, you know, want to deal with.
Right.
So there's a lot about, dealing with healing and being in a space where you can hold yourself accountable but still don't sit in that discomfort for too long. You can sit in the discomfort, to get you through that, but don't
Right.
sit in it for too long. Put your tilt your crown, put it back on, and step into your essence in who you're meant to be. So that has a lot of like ups and downs in it, but in the end, what I want the readers to get from Bellhaven is it doesn't matter what you've been through. It doesn't matter what you're going through.
Uh-huh.
On the other side of things, you will get the benefit of working on yourself, being
Uh-huh.
true to yourself, being honest with yourself, and giving the world who you are, not showing up as who they expect you to be. Yeah.
Mm,
So,
absolutely. That has actually been a theme that has popped up with all of the guests that have been on the show so far is them truly have in their leadership capacity that they truly have an understanding of who they are and they step in it and they own it. And I think what is challenging, especially with our last guest that we had, Nicole Johnston, when she came on, the challenge that women have when they're in leadership capacities or leadership roles and how we show up in the workplace or how we don't show up in the workplace, right? Like that authenticity is something that typically falls by the wayside. And I will make this an I statement. I grew up in a time where women in business, there was a certain expectation, and you had boxes to check, and you would show up in a specific fashion. And if you went against the grain or against any of, whatever that environment said you were supposed to be, you can pretty much guarantee that your leadership journey is going to come to a halt. Right. And so when you have those external expectations, arbitrary as they may be, placed on you, it's hard to really be intentional about doing the work. Do you want to truly look at yourself to figure out who are you? What do you want? Where do you want to go? What's the impact that you want to have? How are you going to change lives when you're too busy focused on the checklist of things that you must do to be in this space to begin with?
so when it comes to that, I
Yeah.
have been this person rebellious since high school.
Uh,
I always went against the grain, even if it wasn't what I necessarily believed, like, was represented, because I definitely understand in any settings with male, it's more, oh, well, you pitch it, you do the work, I'll pitch it.
mhm.
And we've always been in that dynamic. But for me, I went against the grain a lot and really early on in life. And it did cause, a lot of doors to be closed on me for that reason. But I realized those spaces weren't for me.
Yes.
Because if you cannot accept me being my professional self, being in that position and owning who I am, and still delivering quality work and deliverables overall, then
Yeah.
you do not deserve what I offer. So
Exactly.
I had, back in high school, I got removed from several classes, not because I couldn't do the work, but because I challenged a different, you know, thought process. I had a different
Yes.
lens. I'm a reader, so I read not only books, but people. That's my thing.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
I strongly believe that we should not be worried about checking off boxes. If
Yeah.
we have to shrink to go into a space like
Mhm.
Alice in Wonderland, it's not your space. It's
Mhm.
okay. You can go to a space where you're accepted, where you're welcome, and you
Yeah.
still be you and still deliver the awesomeness that you have.
Exactly. I love that. I love that you go back to that space of like the rebellion. And I'm going to say air quotes on that because I think there was a season of my life as well where I started to question like everything, and it was deemed as rebellious, right? Like, why are you questioning? And not necessarily from the learning standpoint, which now that you have access to so much information, I'm like, why didn't I ask my teachers if this was actually proven? Or is this just theory that you're feeding us? Anyways, I'm not going to get on that soapbox. That's a different day. Um, but this what we consider to be rebellious, and it's really just us, like, I think our true inner self that's being curious, not rebellious, right? Like, we just have this,
Right.
"I just wanna explore and figure it out," but then society labels that as, "Well, you're rebellious," or fill in
Yes.
the blank with whatever
Hmm,
adjective
hmm.
that is. Yes. So, Jody, you said, with Belle Haven
Hmm.
you started writing it, it was set to be released last year. I'm just from out of curiosity, I'd love to hear, like, what was the roadblock or the obstacle that you felt? Because I'm sure that it was something personal, that got in between you and the work being delivered to the world.
I Last year was a roller coaster of emotions and everything.
Mhm.
And I had the date and I was going to release, and I was like, okay, but it was with a different publishing company at the time.
Right.
And I got to the upload, and a wave of emotions just came over me. And it's like, not now. And I've dealt with, not now in a lot of ways. And in that moment, I honored it because this was my first piece of work. I wanted it to come out at and perfect is not it, but at the best time.
Yes.
And I waited it out, and I waited out for the right reasons because now it's dedicated to my niece,
Mm,
who spent a limited time on this earth.
mhm,
And I felt like this was my gift to her,
mhm.
to show her, how much, we really love, for her to be here. But, you know, it works into the awakening, into the grief that, if you read it, you will understand. I think it's a piece of art that is timeless
Mhm.
because it can be understood in so many different ways. What When I read it a certain way. I've had, my editor look at it, and she has a different perspective. So
Yeah.
it's like one thing, but so many different, like a thousand different ways you can interpret it. But
Yes.
it's gonna suit, whatever phase of life you may be going through.
I love that. Who's your ideal reader for the book, and what can they expect to get out of it?
So I would say my ideal readers are more so whimsical. And I
Ah,
use that whimsical
I
in
love it. It
quotations.
keeps popping up in my world. It's like, "You need more whimsy." I agree.
I am a sucker for whimsy. So if you're on the whimsical side, the cover
Yes.
alone is gonna grab you. The cover
Okay.
alone is it's a rebirth. So
Yeah.
it's gonna pull you in.
Yeah.
And when you dive into it, you're just gonna have so many ups and downs, but in a good way. It's
Mhm.
gonna prepare you for your healing stage if you've not, made it there yet, or help you to get through your healing stage.
Yes.
It's just to share how, life happens,
Yes.
but we take the wheels. We adjust our sails and we keep moving.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Let's shift gears a little bit because I'd love to hear about your personal journey. U.S. Navy veteran, doing work within the community, so grounded in service. Your leadership journey, your leadership path, and growth and development over the years. running parallel to your commitment to the community. Talk to us about that. When did you identify that as something that was truly important to you?
This has been important to me since I was a child. I was
Mm,
raised to be the person to give because it was, there's no discrimination. People go through things and stuff, and I'm a giver.
yeah.
I'm giving in my work of art. I'm giving in every act of service that, you know, that I find, that is aligning with what I am. I I just feel that, with being in the military, it molded me a little bit better into a more structured, disciplined format.
Mm,
But I'm always, thinking that, the uniform may have changed, but the mission doesn't change because this is me to the core. I'm going to
yeah.
give back to the community. I'm going to, show up for the community and be that person that, hey, if you need a resource, I may not have it, but I will try to find that for you. So
Yes.
that's just how I, work with, leadership. So speaking of leadership, I'm currently in the MPH program at UNC Gillens
Yes.
and leadership in practice. So leadership it's my baby. I love it.
It's
Um
surrounding you all in every area.
in every
Yes.
aspect. That is my thing right now. So
Yes.
doing my practicum currently, working on community initiatives. So working on a specific one right now for Safe Roads, Safer Communities on the Peninsula in Virginia.
Uh-huh.
We have this event on June 13th coming up. And being that our mission is to deter recidivism,
Mm,
get people back in licensure status and stuff like that.
yes.
I felt like, it was a good way to give back to the community outside
Yes.
of, us being a probationary service.
Mhm.
I think that giving to the community and letting them know that, we're here for them,
Mhm.
providing, opportunities for network and connections and just immerse in the community in that space. So I'm
Yeah.
excited about this because if we have safe roads, we have safer communities. And then
Yes.
we have some community partners who will be partnering with us, the health department and
Yes.
Drive Smart in Virginia, who will be, providing simulations and stuff like that. So it's gonna be a beautiful event. Just to, educate the community on how impaired driving impacts not just the person who is in that situation,
Mhm.
but the entire community because there's families involved. It may
Mhm.
not be you that, personally, cause
Experienced.
that situation or,
Yes.
experience it, but you know somebody down the street. It's always a community thing. So I feel like giving back to the community in that way, inviting them in, letting them know that, hey, we are here to support you.
Yes, absolutely. When you talk about, like, the safe road, safe paths, correct? That's yes.
Safe roads, safer communities. Yes.
Safe road, safer community.
Mhm.
Like, how has that been received in terms of the rollout to the community for them to understand the impact and what it means when you look at bigger picture of the community, right? Because there's so many slivers to things that make your community ideal and exceptional, and not that there's like this euphoric place, but
Mhm.
community it means something different to everyone. And I think when we are able to emphasize the importance of safety as well as belonging,
Mhm.
it really speaks to most people. So, how has it been received as you've rolled this out?
So I've been hitting the ground running since the beginning of this month.
Yes.
There have been some background work, of course, but the beginning of this of last month, sorry, I've been hitting the ground running, communicating with community partners.
Hmm.
While our program is a probationary function of the court, so it's
Hmm.
not ideal. People, don't want to, be here, but I do know that some people do because they want to get their lives together.
Yes.
It's not the ideal place. It's not like you want to go to Target to go shopping. It's not that kind of
No.
vibe, but it is a space where you hold yourself accountable for what, that mistake may have been, and you
Right.
proceed, you take on the the mantle to change your life, and we support you in that way.
Yeah. It sounds like the program itself is so empowering for the individuals, right? Like that's where you get to, I always say, be the CEO of your life, but you're able to shift back into taking ownership and responsibility and still controlling that doesn't identify who you are in the future and moving forward.
Yes, definitely. And when I facilitate some of the classes, I let them know this is a judgment-free zone. That
Yeah.
incident happened, but that does not define you. You
Yes.
are who you are as a person, and that incident may have been, an obstacle. It may still be, impeded in certain areas of your life. But when you
Hmm.
come here, we talk about, okay, we're accountable. And now how do we move forward? What are we
Exactly.
doing? How do we change our behaviors and our habits to ensure that we do not end up in that situation, that we don't put other people in those
Yes.
situations?
Absolutely. When you're working with individuals, what do you see as the most challenging hurdle for them to get past or wall to break through?
Accountability.
Mm,
Accountability. And I don't think of it as a bad thing. I just understand that it takes certain people different times to get to that point.
mhm.
Um, but they do get there because,
Yeah.
you know, they they come in and they try their best to do what they need to do to be in that status so they can live their life regularly.
Yeah.
Um, because it's something that affects your everyday, routine.
Mhm.
But once you become accountable, and, like I said, judgment free zone, things happen and none of us in the agency are exempt from it because life is life.
Yes.
The consequences are there regardless.
Yes.
So that's the first thing, being accountable. And once I get them to understand, hey, it doesn't define you. I'm not
Mm,
looking at you as this,
mhm.
who are you? How do
Mhm.
you plan to help yourself to move forward?
Right.
Yeah.
I think it takes a special skill to be able to create and hold that space for individuals because um they're going through and living through the consequences of their actions, right? So that comes with a kind of energy of judgment,
Mhm.
right? In terms of getting to that space. And so to find and see and work with people that are able to create a judgment-free environment or even just a place to listen, to learn, to grow, I can imagine that would be hard for some. You have to take into consideration the accountability piece before you go into, "Okay, well, I'm gonna grow from here," even though I don't take into consideration the accountability that I need to hold for my actions. It's inevitable, right? Like, it's a step in the path that they're taking.
Right, right, definitely. I think getting the accountability piece is the core piece. Because
Mm,
once you've had that accountability, now you're on the road to fixing everything. All
yeah,
the puzzle begins to, fit into place seamlessly. Because taking accountability means, I understand I made a very costly decision because it's not a cheap, mistake or, a decision. But
right.
when you hold yourself accountable, now I'm more able to assist you to get through that process.
Absolutely.
If you don't hold yourself accountable, it's a little bit harder
Yeah,
because now I have to, find a different way to reach you so that you can understand that, hey, accountability is the first phase.
yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Wow. Jody, you are launching community initiatives. You are leading individuals through their journey. You're a mom. You're an author. How do you hold it all together? It's one of my pet peeve questions, but I'm going to ask you. But I'd love
Holding
to
it
hear from you.
together
Yeah,
with
how do
duct
you hold
tape.
it all together? How do you do it all? Right?
With duct tape. That's our favorite thing to use in the military,
I
but
love
I could
it.
tell you it's been held together with duct tape and
Yes.
threads. But
Ah,
I'm doing it.
yes.
You know, I know I have a purpose, and my purpose every day I wake up, I want to lead with intent. I
Hmm.
want to, ensure that that intent creates that impact that is desirable to the population that
Yeah.
we're serving and I'm serving.
Yeah.
Because we're all public servants, in the States, we're
Yes.
providing, that type of welcoming and non-judgmental space, I I'm doing it. I
Yeah.
just get up, and if it's pen to paper and an agenda toting around with several devices, it's
Yes.
getting done. It's
It's
getting
gonna
done.
happen.
It's
Yes.
gonna happen. But I do want to be transparent. Sometimes burnout can be a thing
Mm.
because
Yes.
I struggle heavily with saying no to tasks.
Mhm.
So I'm learning. It's a learning curve for me.
Yeah.
So I learn, now when I have certain things, I can delegate. I can ask for help, which is
Yeah.
something that was very difficult for me because I
Yeah.
I felt like, I could do it. I could do it and it's going to get done.
Yes.
But I now consider, do I have time for personal things? How do I separate my school, my work, my community initiatives, just to ensure that every aspect has a fair amount of dedicated time. So now being in this space, I've learned a lot to, say no to things that I know I definitely cannot handle at the moment,
Yes.
and still show up in those areas that I know that is going to be valuable, that is going to create connections, that is going to be of service to someone. So
Yes.
yeah.
I love that. And in identifying your purpose, have you known this all along? I know that you a lot of this has been ingrained in you since childhood, and kudos to you for having the ability to identify it and live in that. But your purpose that you're following through now, how were you able to discover that and bring that forward to help everyone around you?
I um I have a very dominant personality. I from a young age I was told, hey, Miss Bossy Pants, hey, Miss Sassy Pants. And I
Same.
took
If
that,
there's a leadership
and
role to be had,
turned
I'm
it.
stepping into it. Yes.
I turned that. I turned that into, my innate, ability to lead.
Mhm.
I'm not going to be everybody's cup of coffee, but I might be somebody's cup of tea.
Yes.
So I I just feel like that's me. I did my undergrad segueing into this. I did my undergrad in health service administration,
Mhm.
and I took on the first job, and I didn't last long in it. I
Mhm.
stepped away because it wasn't of any service to me, and it didn't align with anything
Yes.
that I wanted to be known for, that I wanted to be, experiencing. So
Mhm.
I said, "You know what? Let's take it a step further. Let's just do leadership in practice and be in public health space." So, I really want to step into I'm still stepping. It's like a staircase. I'm still stepping
Love it.
into all of these phases. And once I, have that in my hand,
Yes.
I'm going to transition to global so that I can work with my home country, Jamaica.
Yeah.
I plan to, collaborate and do something that is valuable, that is going to be set in stone, that,
Mhm.
something innovative for that space that we can, integrate both cultures.
I love that. I love that. And what I hear you say is that you give your permission to still be curious, right? Again, when you were young, they probably labeled it as rebellion, but now you're like, "You know what? That seems intriguing to me." You get there, you commit yourself 100% and realize this is not in alignment with
Mhm.
who I am and what I want to do and how I want to serve. Let me find something that is in alignment. So giving yourself permission to just keep stepping forward, and some people may have fear in that it seems like it's starting over, but it truly is giving yourself the opportunity to have all of the experiences and really be intentional and aligned with what you want to do and where you want to go.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm never too scared to, swivel, to change
Yes.
course.
Yes.
I believe that everything that I have done until that point has prepared me to change course. And
Yes.
though it may be unknown, and a lot of us fear the unknown, and
Mhm.
that's why we don't, step into different things.
Yep.
But I try and I say, what's the worst that could happen? I
Yes.
may not achieve what I set out for, but I
Yeah.
didn't fail because I tried it. I tried
Yeah.
it, and now I have a new skill. I have something in
Exactly.
my toolkit. So that's just what I believe about that part. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. I put a little spin on the, what's the worst that can happen? And my partner reminded me of this the other day, because he told me that he quoted me to someone else, and I said, "Well, what is it that I said?" And the phrase that how I've spun that is, "What else is possible?" Right? Like you get there and you realize, and you're like, "Okay, well, what else is possible? How else? How much? I mean, how?" I always say, like, "How yummy can it truly get?"
Right, right. Um, I I think we both grew up with curiosity killed the cat.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
not I'm not with that.
No.
I am the curious person.
Yes.
I will go down that rabbit hole. Sometimes it's
Yes.
3 AM in the morning, I'm down that rabbit hole because I feel like there's so much more to learn, and
Yes.
giving yourself that wealth of knowledge helps you to fit into almost any setting.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
it makes you very, flexible and adaptable to spaces. So you don't fear change. You
Yes.
embrace it because it's the only constant. So you're gonna embrace it. Yeah.
100%.
Mhm,
Those people that are always curious, that the curiosity killed the cat folks are probably the best people that you can put in position when you have an organization or a company that's going through change, because they're the ones that will figure out a way, right? They're going to go down every rabbit hole and
mhm.
figure it out. Those that have been cautious, that don't want to take those steps where there is the unknown that you talk
Mhm.
about, um, you're going to stay where you are and expect to have different results. And we know that that's the definition of insanity.
Insanity. Mhm.
Yes.
I'm not on that train. I am on, okay, we've tried this, we've tried
Yes.
this.
Yes.
And while we may not have a solution to everything, and it's something that I've started to incorporate, I believe that a lot of the issues and, crisis and things that we go through are wicked problems. And when I say
Mm,
wicked problems, there's no right or wrong.
mhm,
And that's what I love about wicked problems because you get to search here, there, and
mhm.
you see what works best. And now we can combine, this piece and that piece
Yes.
into something that, it's not ideal for everybody, but it's working for the most part.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. For the majority. We're moving
Yeah.
forward and it works for the majority.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. Okay, so the leadership program that you're taking, I am so curious to hear, what is the most surprising thing that you've learned out of that program that you didn't anticipate learning or taking away?
Ah, I what the I
Good
you know what?
good,
I
bad, or
don't
indifferent. I don't that sigh
know.
what could have gone any direction, so I don't know.
Right, because it's I'm a lifelong learner, so it
Yeah.
didn't, surprise me in any way. I think the thing I find most, on my tedious section of things
Mhm. Mhm.
is the lectures. I
Mm.
grasp a little bit faster, so I'm the person who's gonna play the video 1.75
Yes.
just so I can hear it a little bit so it matches with my brain. I'm
Yes.
on the neurodivergent side of things, so
Yes.
it makes sense for me to, grab those in the
Yes.
way that I can understand it. So the
Yes.
lecturer might be going, at a pace, and I'm like, okay, if I speed it up, I'll grasp it even better.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
Absolutely. I am a 1.5 in most cases for all audiobooks, for most podcasts that I listen to, unless are a person that talks fast like myself, which I'm sure people probably slow me down. And then when I
I
hear the
do.
people in real life, I'm like,
I do slow you down. I do slow you down. I do slow you down because you're speaking at the pace that I'm used to. So
yes,
I don't have to up it, but my audiobooks definitely.
yes.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Mhm.
thank you for confirming that. I realize that I'm a fast talker. But again, when we talk about like the neurodivergent side, I
Mhm.
didn't realize that. And again, because I'm invested in learning more about myself, I didn't know that wasn't a thing when I was growing up. It wasn't something that was discussed in my household. That's
No.
no. So, and oftentimes it's my children that tell me you should probably look into this.
Mhm.
Or when I tell them, oh, I think I'm on that spectrum, and they're like, of course you are. How do you not know this already? I'm like, okay, okay.
Right?
But I am the same. I wonder, like, how people In my mind, I'm like, something is terribly awry if you're listening to things at regular speed. But I'm happy to know that you can listen to me at regular speed and even maybe at 0.75. I'll take it.
So I would have to be honed in if I put you at a 1.75.
Yes.
Um, I think I think the max I've done with people is a 2, and
Yes.
I because I'm a fast reader,
Yes.
I kinda I'm, like, at the other page before the person, and I'm like, "Okay, can we
You gotta
go a
go.
little."
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, but I love that I can listen to you, and it's sinking in, and I don't have to worry about, "Okay, am I keeping up? Is it soaking in?"
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to back up a little bit just to ensure that I caught everything you said,
Yes.
um, but yeah, it's who we are. It's who we
It's
are.
who we are. I appreciate the confirmation. What I
Mhm,
knew or believed in my head, and now I know.
mhm, yes. Now
It
you
is
know.
out there. Yes, exactly. Well, I would love to know, Jody, what's next? What do you have on the horizon? You are working on some amazing things. I think here, just in the next quarter of your life, like the next three
Mhm,
months, you
mhm,
have quite a bit that you're rolling out. Launching of the book, you have the community initiative that will roll out. You'll have your program that you're still enrolled in. But
mhm.
what's after that? What does that next season of your life look like?
I'm excited to see what that next season looks like because my life changed rapidly. It changes rapidly. So I um I may be on to the next book,
Yes.
and by then I would have finished my practicum. So
Yes.
and probably, moving into a different direction with the leadership. So
Mhm.
I'm excited for whatever comes next because I know it's
Yeah.
going to be awesome. I know it's going to be
Yes.
awesome. And everything I'm doing right now is preparing me for that space.
I love it. Do you know how many books are in you? Do you know already? Have you received that?
Um, there's not a limit because sometimes I get word vomit and I just want to get it out. I just want to get it out. And speaking of, I wrote a poem for the Bloodline 743. That should come out on Mother's Day.
Mm,
Um this one is for mothers of angel babies. So I just sat there. My editor was like, "Hey, do you mind writing a poem?" And I texted her back. I was like, "Deadline," and she's like, "Friday." And then, like, within 30 minutes, I sent in something, and I was like, "Okay, I'm done."
oh,
So
wow. That
I
is
don't.
creative genius. Oh, wow. Yes.
I don't know how many. I don't put a limit on it. I don't like to box myself in and say
Box
this is what
yourself
I'm gonna
in.
do.
Yes.
Um, I want to give myself that creative space to continue to do things.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. I can't wait to read the poem. So, if you have a copy of it, we'd love to include it in our show notes because this will air after Mother's Day. So, whenever you're
Okay, I will
listening, then we
provide
can
that.
drop that. Yes, I
Mhm,
would love that.
mhm.
Share that with our listeners. I'm excited for that. Okay.
Thank you.
So Jody, one thing that I like to, well, before I go there, is
Mhm.
there anything that you want to share with our listeners as it pertains to your story, the work that you're doing within your community that we haven't touched on yet?
Well, this would be just a message to your audience.
Hmm.
When it comes to leadership, I want people to know the postnominals, the certificates, those aren't it. If you have a passion, if you have a purpose, and you want to impart something onto the world, it's okay to do it. There's so many platforms, there's so many spaces to share. Be the change you want to see. And don't shrink yourself to fit into spaces. Don't dim your light because somebody said, "Hey, that's too bright." Be authentic to yourself, show up as who you want to see in the world. And that is it.
I love that. I love that. What you shared resonated with me so well because as you were saying that, I thought that's how this podcast was birthed, right? I realize that this is a topic and a space that I'm really passionate about. And I think I shared with you before we started recording. It's a space that I've ignored for some years, and I'm not sure why. But I am uncovering that. I'm realizing that, and recently,
Mhm.
just this week, within the real estate industry, seeing some statistics that came out in terms of lack of women in leadership roles for companies and organizations. And when I started down this path of doing leadership work, there was a split in the industry where most 60% of the leadership roles were held by men. Most recently, that number has jumped up to over 70%. And I feel like we're going in the opposite direction. So it reinforces like the need for this work, and you are spot on with platforms. I've uncovered platforms that I didn't know existed, and we are there. So
Mhm.
we are going there.
Yes. Yes. And as you touched on that, when it comes to women in leadership,
Yeah.
it is such a thing because I've been told, you're too much, you
Mhm,
do this, you're that.
mhm,
But I never let that turn into, "Ah, I'm gonna shrink down so that you can
mhm.
shine."
Yeah,
I am the person I'm gonna say, "Okay, this is where I'm gonna step up and
yeah,
embody who I am."
yeah,
And, it may not be for everybody's taste bud,
yeah.
but it's serving my highest self. I am, owning that space. If I'm in a space, I'm gonna blossom there.
Yes,
And that's
exactly.
that's what I want for women in leadership, to blossom in any space that, they occupy.
Yeah. And the reality, like if you were stepping into a space where you're leading from a place that honors and serves your higher self, who am I to question that? Right? That's
Yeah.
here's a reality, not everyone's there, but that's okay.
Yeah. We'll get there.
We
Look,
will get there. We will
we will
get there.
get there because a big part of leadership is creating space for other leaders,
Yes.
helping people to become leaders. So
Yes.
there's room for everybody at the table. The table is not just a 4 by 4 foot,
That's it.
it's endless. So
Yes.
grab your chair and fold it on out and take a seat because
And
we're all
sit
here for
down.
it.
Exactly. Sit down. We are here.
We're here.
I love it. Oh my gosh, Jody, thank you. Thank you for those words of wisdom. I'm going to leave
And
you
thank you
with
so
the
much.
final question that I ask all of the guests. 10 years, 100 years, decades from now, how do you want to be remembered as a leader?
I want to be remembered as the person who didn't let check boxes, post nominals determine my future. I want to be the person to be remembered. You know what? They've created a lane for, this style, this leadership style, this embodiment of, authenticity. So that's what I want to be remembered as,
I love
just
it.
a lane maker.
Yes. I love that. I love that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And
That
thank
is
you so much
huge.
for
And
having me.
oh my gosh, absolutely. I am so glad that you were open and that you were able to reach out. Oh, I guess we left the listeners on hanging on on a thread because I did start out by saying that we had a deeper connection. So other than the Jamaican connection, my dear baby brother, I'd like to point
Mhm.
out, the baby of the family,
Mhm.
yes, is your partner. And so having that connection, we share a love for the same special human that
Yes.
exists, and we have the connection to our fabulous mother
Mhm.
country in Jamaica.
Mhm.
It's home, so our motherland, and yeah, this is it makes it more special. And
It
here's the thing:
does.
when these journeys, these paths that cross and connect individuals, I know that there's a reason that we're connecting, and you've brought a tremendous amount of value to our listeners and to the show today. So I am tremendously grateful for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, and I hope to see you
Absolutely.
again.
I will. I will actually see you soon.
Right. But further down in the journey, I'll come back, and give the listeners an update. All right.
Absolutely. After the book launch, I'd love to have you back so that we can dive into the book and hear all of that. Again, it sounds like our launch timeline might be running parallel, so we can come on
Yes.
and compare stories. Your story, it sounds like it's a little smoother because in terms of the writing piece of it,
Mhm.
I enjoy talking. I am a speaker. That's what I do. When I
Mhm.
have to sit down and think to write,
Mhm.
I've discovered voice to text is a great, great, great
I
tool.
was just gonna recommend Dictate
Yes,
because sometimes the words come so fast you can't write
yes.
it. Dictate is my best friend.
It's my best friend. It is
Yes.
absolutely my best friend. I'll keep that in mind for book
Mhm.
2. I
Yes.
discovered that
Mhm.
later in the process for the first one, but here we are.
Yes.
Thank
Awesome.
you, Jodi. Oh my gosh. For our listeners, make sure that you check us out. This is in video format on Spotify. You can check out the episodes on YouTube. And if you've not subscribed to our Substack, go ahead and check that out as well. We also have a weekly newsletter that's on LinkedIn under the Flamingo Files, all things connected to everything that we're doing here at Leadership That Shines. Head on over to leadershipthatshines.com. That's where you can find absolutely everything. Until next time, I will see you all soon. Thank you for spending time growing with me on the Leadership That Shines podcast. Every episode is built around the values of impact, influence, and growth. And I want all 3 of those to show up in how you lead starting this week. If this episode added value to your week, share it with a leader in your world who is ready to grow. Subscribe and follow so that you never miss a week. And I'll see you in the next episode.